Alright, what's up guys? Welcome back to another Left Lane Odyssey video. As you can see, two new bikes. They're both CB400Ts from the year 1978. They're basically the same bike. They do have some slight differences. As for this one, looks a whole lot worse, but it has a kickstart. This one doesn't. Both of them haven't run for a very long time. I believe this one hasn't run for the last 6 years, and the previous owner bought this one to fix the other one, and it also didn't run then. He said probably around 8 years that this bike hasn't run. So to be honest, the first bike that I want to bring back to life is this one. I think it looks better also, so maybe that doesn't count for anything, but I'm hoping that this one will be brought back to life pretty easy. So let's find out and bring this bike back to life. Alright, so when I buy the bike, there's always a couple of things I want to check, especially when I buy a bike that doesn't run. So one of the first things that I always do is to check whether the electronics actually work. And I was surprised that the battery that's in the bike has some juice. It's definitely not enough to actually make it run, but there are a couple of things that work. For instance, the blinker right here. I don't know if you can see that, but it kind of works. It blinks really fast. Both of them actually work. The other one over here works as well. It blinks really fast because the rear blinkers, as you can see, are missing, so they don't work. Other thing, of course, that I would like to check is whether the brake switch works. Oh, well, the brake just got stuck, so the rear one doesn't work anymore. Front one does work. Like I said before, the rear brake kind of gets stuck sometimes, so I'm not sure what's happening there, but we'll figure it out as we go along. So the idea now is to get the battery out, put some power on it, and of course take the carbs out, clean them, and hopefully we can try to start this bike. Alright, next day. Unfortunately it started raining really bad, so we're going to have to work in a, as you can see, a very crowded garage. And I already took the carbs off, so what we're going to do right now is clean them and put them back on the bike, see if that will do any good. Alright, so here are the carbs, and to be honest with you, I'm actually kind of surprised with how clean they are. So if I open up, if I can do that, open it up a bit. I don't know if you can see this properly, but it actually looks pretty decent. I'm not saying it's really clean, but it looks pretty okay. On the other side as well. So definitely not perfect, but everything moves around fine. Alright, so now I'm going to take the float balls off to see if there's any dirt or grime or anything like that. And after that, I guess we'll put it back on the bike. Alright, so let's take a look inside. Not too bad. I mean, it's definitely dirty, but I thought it would be way worse. There is a lot of gunk on one of the jets. So, as you can see, they're definitely dirty, if the camera will focus. So it's dirty, definitely, but to be honest, I was expecting way worse. So I think that even though the bike hasn't run for a very long time, it was garage capped and they drained all the gas. So yeah, it's dirty, but this will clean up pretty easily. So let's do that right now. Alright, so the carbs are cleanish. I got all the gunk out, which I was surprised by how little it actually was. So in the future I will definitely be cleaning them a whole lot more. We'll be taking them apart completely. For now the goal is just to try and start the bike. They're clean enough for that now. So what I'm going to do right now is put the throttle cables back on and the choke cable as well. And after that we'll put it back on the bike. Alright, so the carbs are back on. To be honest, it took a little longer than I'm proud of, but hey, they're back on, so we're all good. What I'm going to do right now is put some power on the bike to see whether we can actually build any oil pressure. If we can, great. That would be pretty good. After that we'll check for a spark. If we have a spark as well, then we'll put some gas in it and see if it'll start. Right, so this is actually the original battery that came with the XV750, the previous project. If you haven't checked that out, you most definitely should. It's a really awesome build, it turned out really great. I'll have a link for that in the description. But for now, this is a very heavy battery. It always worked, never stopped working. To be honest, I only charged it once. Also the previous owner said that it actually was a little bit too heavy for the bike, but he wanted one that wouldn't die so easily, and well, that definitely is the case. So we're going to put this on here and try to crank the engine again. Alright, so once again we have power. Kill switch is engaged. Let's try this again. Well, it does crank. It sounded pretty good. And we get oil pressure. So I'll show that to you again. So the light turns off, which is really good. So there is oil in there and we can actually get pressure. So I'm really happy about that. Next thing is to check out whether we have spark or not. No spark. That's too bad. Maybe the kill switch isn't that good. Hey, that's too bad. So right now we gotta figure out some way to get that plug to spark. Alright, so I've been trying to figure out why it doesn't have a spark. So I checked the owner's manual, or not the owner's manual, the workshop manual that the previous owner actually gave me. Which comes in quite handy in times like these. So I've checked all the wiring, all looked pretty good. I took the kill switch completely off, or at least I took the cable off, so I was sure that the kill switch isn't the thing that isn't just getting a good connection and therefore it's not sparking. So this is the entire wiring diagram. Checked it out, everything looks pretty good. So I think that it's the ignition coil that isn't good. It's not an original one. As you can see, it doesn't really fit as well. It's only tied down with one bolt. But luckily for me, I've bought two CBs. So I'm going to take this one off and put the ignition coil of the other bike on here. That one does have the original coil on it, so I'm hoping that that'll do the trick and we can start the swing right up. Alright, so that's actually connected. I don't know if you guys can actually see this, but it is connected now. So we're going to try this thing all over again. I'm not too optimistic about it, but hey man, who knows? Maybe this will work out. Yeah, no spark. Okay, too bad. Alright, so it's becoming quite the challenge to get this bike actually running. I wasn't getting any spark. Everything is working pretty good actually. So all the lights and switches and things like that work, so I'm really pleased with that. I can get oil pressure. Well, so that's all really pretty good. Cleaning the carbs weren't too bad, so I was really happy with that. But no spark. So at first I thought maybe a couple of the contact points or the pigtails were dirty or something like that, so I cleaned them all. Still no spark. So I thought, okay, maybe the ignition coil's bad, so I used the multimeter or multimeter. Well, that showed me that the ignition coil definitely was bad, so I thought, okay, well, I bought not one but two CB400s. So I tried working on the other bike. Everything works on that bike as well, yet no spark. I checked that ignition coil as well. So the other one's clearly dead. This one's 1 foot in the grave, I guess. So I bought a new one, so I thought probably that would do the trick. Still no spark. Unfortunately, there's not really a real way to check out whether the CDI is broken or not. So I want to make sure that everything else is in good condition. So what I tried to do was take the flywheel off. Problem with that is you can take the bolt that holds it, you can take that one out, but it's screwed on in a different way and you need a special tool for that, which I don't have. But what I've read on a couple of forums online is that you can actually use the rear axle to take the flywheel off. It should have the same thread. I'm gonna give that a go to see how the alternator and everything like that, how that looks. Maybe that isn't hooked up properly or one of the spools has gone bad. That's the last thing I'm going to be trying today. If that doesn't work, too bad. Let's look inside and see whether there are any problems in there or not. Come on, boy. Yeah. Yeah, there we go. Alright. Alright, so now that I finally got the axle out, which was way harder than it should be, so we'll definitely be greasing this one up when we put it back. We can try and take the flywheel off. I already got the bolt out on the other bike. They're basically the same, so I thought, why not continue on that one, seeing how as I don't have to get the other bolt out of that thing. Getting that bolt out wasn't easy as well, so I'd like to save myself some time. So let's work on the other one. I doubt that you'll even notice the difference. Oh yeah, okay, so it doesn't fit. Right, so that thing that I read online about the rear axle fitting the flywheel, that's not true, at least not for this bike. So if you have a CB400 and you're trying to take the flywheel off, buy the pulley thing or whatever, don't try to use the rear axle because it won't work. And so the question of this video, of course, was, will it run? Most of the things are looking pretty good, so I do still have some confidence left in me to think that it will. Electrical work isn't really my forte. It's actually something I'm still quite bad at. I'm trying to learn, but at the same time it really doesn't interest me, so It's a big learning curve. Anyway, will it run? I guess we'll have to find out in part 2. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.